Alright guys, this week we're talking about texture. Definitely not a rough time. Oh man, how do I keep coming up with these? So, what is texture? So, texture in the visual arts is the perceived surface quality of whatever you've drawn or created. So, it's how rough or smooth an object looks when you draw it. Some examples of some different textures are furry and hairy, coarse or rough, or smooth. So what you want to do when you go to create your artwork is create objects that have a texture to them so the viewer knows how that object feels, like they could reach out and grab it. Here's some examples of some artwork that utilize texture really well. Here's a piece that was made in 1502 by Albrecht Dürer called Young Hare. And you notice that the texture of the rabbit is furry. It gives off a furriness. It almost looks like we can reach in and pick up the rabbit. And it does this by using quick strokes, very small lines, and no solid contours. Contours being those outer lines that look solid. Next, we have Alex Ross's The Thing, which was a variant cover for a Fantastic Four issue. Many of the layers for this are variations of the same color, so there's lights and darks. There's a huge range, and then the top layer, some of the shadows are dry brushed on to give it a very rough look. If you look really closely at the picture, you can actually see the brush strokes where they've been laid onto each tile. Now is your turn to give this a shot. So here's what you got to do. Divide the paper into 6 different sections. In each section, find 6 different textures of objects around your home. Replicate and research how to make that texture with your pencil. Use the internet. I've provided hints and 2 textures that you can use. Here are the steps to folding your paper for this assignment. Step 1, fold your paper hot dog. Then fold that folded paper into thirds like so. When you're all done folding, your paper should look like this when you unwrap it. Now you're going to fill each section with a specific texture, like so. Here's a hint over on this one side on how I did this texture, and use this as a guide to try to come up with your own way of doing another texture or research it on the internet. Here's how I applied my furry texture. This is a good texture to use if you're trying to do fur or like hair, especially short hair. So you're going to put a dark spot of value somewhere in that texture and have that texture blend out from a 1 to maybe about a 5 or a 4. Here's a hint to another texture I found, a coarse texture, one that could be used for like granite or a sidewalk. So all in all, what did we learn? We learned that texture is how we get a surface in our artwork to feel a certain way when a viewer looks at it. We also learned how to apply some of those textures onto our own artwork, and you guys tried it out yourself. If you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave a comment down below, or go ahead and send me a message over Schoology if you're in my class.